Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, we're talking about chimps.
Chimpanzee memory.
Chimp memory, right? And how
Yeah.
it stacks up against human memory. And so we've got some research here
We do.
from Kyoto University's Primate Research Institute in Japan. Really fascinating stuff.
It is.
Yeah, and so to set this up, imagine a chimp
Okay.
just glancing at a screen.
Mm-hmm.
And on this screen,
Yeah.
there are numbers.
Okay.
And they only get to look at it for a fraction of a second.
A fraction of a second.
Right. And then they have to remember
Okay.
all the positions of those numbers.
Got it. Yeah.
Right.
That
sounds really tough, right?
Really tough.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that's exactly what researchers have seen
Uh-huh.
with these chimps in these studies. So to get us started,
Okay.
could you tell us a little bit about, I guess, the background
Sure.
for this?
Yeah. So, it really does challenge
That's
some of
it.
our assumptions about intelligence, right? We often think of language as being this kind of like pinnacle
Yeah.
of cognitive development. And this research suggests that it might have come at a cost.
Oh, interesting.
So there's this thing called the cognitive trade-off hypothesis,
Okay.
which proposes that humans
Uh-huh.
might have actually sacrificed some of their short-term memory
Okay.
in order to develop
Right.
that complex language.
So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
trade-off, right? We traded
You didn't-
photographic memory for the ability to talk.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the intriguing idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something I would not want to trade.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the evolutionary context a little bit.
Okay.
So humans and chimps
Okay.
share a common ancestor,
Right.
CHLCA.
CHLCA, yeah.
It stands for Chimpanzee Human Last Common Ancestor.
Okay.
So millions of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
some of these CHLCAs stayed in the trees
Okay.
where visual memory was crucial for survival,
That
right?
makes sense.
They needed to remember where to find food,
Yeah.
how to avoid predators,
Right.
navigate that really complex arboreal environment.
Yeah. So those were the ones who evolved into the chimps that we see today.
Yes, exactly. And they kept their visual memory skills.
Okay, that makes sense. So what about the ones who ventured out?
Well, some CHLCAs left the trees
Okay.
and they moved into the savanna,
Right.
much more challenging landscape
Right.
and dangerous.
Yeah, for sure.
So to survive in this new environment,
Yeah.
they needed to cooperate and strategize
I-
and communicate in much more sophisticated ways.
Oh, okay. So they had to really up their communication game.
Right. And this over time
Yeah.
led to the development of language.
Fascinating. So how did researchers actually test this memory difference?
Well, they designed this memory game
Okay.
where numbers flash on a screen and then disappear.
Okay.
And both humans and chimps participate.
Uh-huh.
And they have to recall the order of the numbers.
Gotcha.
Sounds simple enough.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The chimps consistently outperform humans on this,
Really?
especially the younger ones,
Huh.
like Ayumu, who we'll talk about.
Mm.
They can recall these numbers with incredible speed and accuracy.
Wow. And I think we even have some footage of these experiments.
We do.
Right.
Yeah.
What do we actually see when we watch this?
Yeah.
This head-to-head memory challenge.
Well, it's pretty remarkable.
Okay.
You see the human participant really focusing,
Huh.
trying to memorize those numbers,
Yeah.
but they struggle
Right.
to keep up with the
Mm.
speed and accuracy of the chimps,
Mhm.
especially Ayumu.
Yeah.
And it's just this stark visual reminder
Right.
of just how different our strengths are
Yeah.
cognitively.
Yeah, I bet that must be pretty humbling
It is.
for the human participant, right?
It is.
Except-
You can almost see them thinking like,
Yeah.
wait, how is this even possible?
Yeah, exactly.
And it really highlights something that I think is worth emphasizing. It's that the chimps aren't just demonstrating
Mhm.
like good memory.
Right.
They're showcasing a completely different type of memory.
Okay.
One that's highly tuned
Interesting.
to this visual and spatial information.
Right, so it's like they're seeing it as a picture almost,
Yes, exactly.
like a snapshot, instead of trying to remember each
a snatch.
individual digit.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder if their brains are just wired completely differently.
Yeah, and
Is it
that's where the
totally-
cognitive trade-off hypothesis
Right.
really comes into play. So
Yeah.
think about it.
Okay.
Language requires abstract thinking, right?
Yeah.
We use words to represent ideas and concepts and objects.
Right.
that aren't physically present. It's
Yeah.
a very sophisticated ability.
It is, yeah.
And it's possible that developing that capacity,
For abstract thought,
okay,
which is so essential for language,
right,
really just reshaped our brains in
Yeah.
a way that prioritized
Right.
those functions over other ones.
so our brains might have actually made a trade-off
Yeah.
prioritizing language and abstract thought
Exactly.
over photographic memory.
Exactly. It's not to say that one is better than the other.
Right, they're just different.
They're simply different adaptations.
Yeah, different
Just as chimps evolved
ways of,
to excel in visual and spatial memory,
right,
humans evolved to excel in language
right.
and abstract thought.
It's almost like nature is saying,
Yeah,
you can't have it all. You got to choose
that's the trend.
strengths. Great way to put it.
Yeah. And so I also want to touch on
Yeah,
the ethical considerations,
of course. Yeah.
right, with this type of research.
Yeah. So Professor Matsuzawa,
Mhm.
who leads the Primate Research Institute in Japan, he's deeply committed to
Yeah,
ensuring the well-being of the chimpanzees.
that's good.
They live in a spacious, texturalistic habitat,
Uh-huh.
and they actually choose
Oh, wow.
whether or not to participate in the research.
So it's totally voluntary.
They're treated more like colleagues than subjects.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
It is.
Yeah, it makes the research a lot more compelling knowing that it's all ethical like that.
Absolutely. Professor Matsuzawa understands
Yeah.
that to really learn from these incredible animals,
Yeah.
we need to create an environment
Mm-hmm.
that prioritizes their well-being.
Right. And their autonomy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what would you say are some of the biggest takeaways?
Well, I
You're
think
doing?
one of the key takeaways is that
Huh?
intelligence just manifests in so many forms.
Yeah.
We tend to have this very human-centric view
Right.
of intelligence, right?
Uh-huh.
Assuming that our way of thinking is superior.
Of course.
But the chimps' remarkable memory abilities
Right.
really demonstrate that there are
Other ways of perceiving and understanding the world
Mhm.
that we may not even
Yeah.
fully grasp.
It's a good reminder that we're not the only ones with these
Exactly.
cognitive superpowers.
And it makes you wonder what other abilities are out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hidden.
Hidden, waiting to be discovered
Yeah.
in the animal kingdom.
And I think it also highlights
Yeah.
how important it is to protect
Exactly.
these endangered species, right?
Yeah, chimpanzees and other primates, they're
Mhm.
not just fascinating research subjects. They hold this critical place
Yeah.
in the web of life.
And losing them would mean losing a part of ourselves.
Exactly.
So speaking of protecting these creatures,
Yeah.
what can we do as individuals
Well,
to actually support this research
yeah.
and conservation?
Mm.
It can feel
It can feel daunting.
overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
When you think about tackling these large-scale problems.
But every action,
Yeah.
no matter how
Mhm.
small, contributes to the bigger picture.
Okay.
So we can support organizations
Uh-huh.
like the Primate Research Institute
Okay.
through donations or volunteer work.
Yeah.
We can advocate for policies that protect wildlife habitats. And we can make conscious choices
Yeah.
as consumers.
Right. So it's about
Supporting businesses.
being aware of
where your money's going.
ethical and sustainable practices.
Yeah. Yeah. And raising awareness, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Education is key.
The more people understand about this,
Yeah.
the more likely they are to.
By sharing this knowledge
Yeah.
and fostering a sense of wonder and respect
Right.
for these animals,
Yeah.
we can inspire others
It's about recognizing that we're all part of this
to join the movement.
web of life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And that the well-being of chimps.
The cognitive trade-off hypothesis
Yeah.
adds another layer to this.
Okay.
It suggests that while we may have
Yeah.
evolved
This
different,
cognitive strengths, we're all products of
Mhm.
these same evolutionary forces.
right, shaped by
Shaped by
similar things,
the challenges and opportunities
Yeah.
of our environment.
and that maybe we're not so different after all.
Right.
Right? We might have traded
In the grand scheme of things.
visual memory for language,
Yeah.
but we're still driven by
I'm still driven by
the same basic needs
those same basic needs.
for survival and
and with
for
perfection.
connection and understanding.
Right, understanding.
And that shared heritage
Yeah.
is something worth
Yes, yeah.
celebrating and protecting.
Absolutely.
So,
It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
like, imagine if we could tap into
Hey.
that chimp level
fascinating thought experiment.
short-term memory.
Yeah.
What would that world even look like?
Picture this.
Yeah.
You could walk into a room,
Mm-hmm.
glance around
Yeah.
for a few seconds,
Yeah.
and then perfectly recall every detail.
Oh, wow. The color of the walls, the arrangement of the furniture, even the tiniest objects.
Yeah, what could we do with that?
Think of the implications for fields like medicine,
Oh, yeah.
engineering, art.
Like a surgeon?
Yeah.
Could
Surgeons could
visualize
these complex procedures with ease.
Yeah.
Artists could create these incredibly detailed works
Right.
from memory.
And students could probably ace any exam
Exactly.
without even opening a book.
Right.
But then it also makes me think,
Ugh.
like, what would be the downsides?
Well, that's an important
Right.
consideration.
Yeah.
What if we had retained that level
Yeah.
of detailed visual memory?
Yeah.
Would we have developed the same capacity
Right.
for abstract thought
For those higher level functions.
and creativity that's so essential to
Right.
human innovation?
It's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like maybe
Maybe those lightning fast.
memory skills
Yeah.
could have been a distraction,
Right.
preventing us from focusing
On the big picture.
on that bigger picture, the
Yeah.
abstract concepts
Yeah.
that led to language
Right.
and all of its complexities.
So maybe we needed to free up some
Yeah,
mental space to make room for that.
exactly.
Yeah, it's all about balance, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah, so each evolutionary path
Each evolutionary path
has its trade-offs.
has its trade-offs.
We gained language and abstract thought,
Right.
maybe at the expense of some of that visual processing power.
At the expense of some raw visual processing power.
Chimps kept their short-term memory,
Yeah,
but they haven't really developed that same level of
Well-
symbolic communication.
exactly.
It's like nature say you can't have it all.
You can't have it all.
Choose your strengths
Choose your strengths.
and make the most of them.
And make the most of them.
And when we watch those chimps just acing those tests,
Yeah.
it's humbling,
yeah.
right?
It is.
It puts us to shame.
It underscores the fact that
Yeah.
intelligence comes in so many forms.
Right, we're not the only ones.
And that we humans are
That's
not
it.
the only species.
Yeah, these cognitive
With
gifts.
these remarkable cognitive gifts.
And we have so much to learn from other species,
We do.
especially the
Which
ones that are shared
closely related to us.
our evolutionary lineage.
So I guess that brings us to the big question
Yeah.
that we posed at the beginning.
The big question.
If you had to choose,
Yeah.
would you rather have that amazing short-term memory, like a chimp,
Tough choice.
or the ability to communicate
It really is.
through language,
On the one hand,
like we do?
imagine the benefits
It's a tough choice.
of having near photographic memory.
Yeah.
You'd never forget a name,
Right.
a face, a fact.
Yeah.
You could just absorb information like a sponge
Yeah, just soak it all up.
and recall it, but with perfect accuracy. I feel like
But on the other hand,
language is
language allows us
so important.
to connect with others
Yeah.
on this really profound level,
Right.
to share ideas,
Yeah.
to build relationships,
Uh,
to create entire cultures.
right.
It's the
It's
foundation
like choosing between
of our shared humanity.
being a master of information or a master of connection.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
It's a choice
it is.
that forces you to examine your values and priorities.
And I think for me, I would still stick with language.
What do you truly value most?
Yeah.
The ability to amass knowledge,
Yeah.
or the ability to forge these meaningful connections?
Yeah. I think language is just such a
Yeah,
core part of what makes us human.
I completely agree. Language is more than just a tool for
Yeah.
communication.
Right.
It's the very fabric of our social and emotional lives.
Right.
It allows us to express
Yeah.
our deepest thoughts and feelings, to
Mm.
create art and music.
Right. To build a sense of shared identity.
It really is what makes us unique.
Yeah, it's what makes us unique as a species.
That doesn't mean we should
But that doesn't mean
discount the abilities
that we should discount
of our primate cousins, right?
incredible abilities
That's
of our
right.
primate cousins.
Like their memories are just incredible.
They're amazing memories.
Yeah.
Remind us
Yeah. And it reminds us that there are other ways of
that there are
experiencing and understanding.
different ways of
them.
experiencing and understanding the world,
Yeah.
and that we still have
And we can learn
so much to learn
from them.
from them.
So we're
Yeah.
going to leave our listeners with this thought.
To our listeners,
What would you choose?
we'll leave you with this final thought.
Photographic memory or the gift of language?
What would you choose?
Photographic
What do
memory
you think?
or the gift of language?
And we encourage you to keep on exploring.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
this amazing world of primate research.
And we encourage you
Yeah.
to continue exploring
It really challenges our understanding of
this amazing world of primate research.
what it means to be human.
It's a field that constantly
Yeah.
challenges our understanding
It does.
what it means to be human,
Yeah, and it just reminds us
of the incredible diversity of life
of the incredible diversity of life on our planet.
on our planet.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep those brains buzzing
Keep thinking about it.
and those curiosity fires burning.
Absolutely.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
For sure.
Especially when you see those chimps
Yeah, you can almost see
blowing past
the human thinking, like,
the humans in these tests.
wait,
Yeah.
how
Exactly.
how is this even possible?
It really highlights the fact that chimps aren't just demonstrating good memory.
Yeah.
They're
Real
showcasing
good.
a different kind of memory altogether.
Yeah, they're showcasing a different
Mhm.
type of memory.
Yet one that's highly
Uh-huh.
tuned to this visual and spatial information.
It's like they're seeing it as a complete picture, a snapshot,
Yes, exactly.
rather than trying to remember
a snapshot.
each individual digit.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder if their brains are just wired differently.
And that's
Yeah.
where the cognitive trade-off hypothesis really comes into play.
Okay.
So think about it. Language requires abstract thinking.
Yeah.
We use words to represent concepts and ideas and objects that aren't physically present. It's a
Right.
very sophisticated
it is.
cognitive ability.
Yeah.
And it's possible
Well,
that
that-
developing that capacity
Right.
for abstract thought, which is so essential for language,
The language,
really reshaped our brains
Wow.
in a way that prioritized those functions over others.
Okay, so our brains might have made a trade-off,
Yeah,
prioritizing language and abstract thought over this photographic memory.
exactly.
Hmm.
It's not to say that one is better than the other.
Right, they're just
They're
different.
simply
Different adaptations.
different adaptations.
Yep.
Just as chimps evolved
Ways.
to excel in visual and spatial memory,
Right.
humans evolved to excel in language
Yeah.
and abstract thought.
It's almost as if nature's saying you can't have it all. You got to choose your strength.
Great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also want to touch on the ethical consideration
Of course, yeah.
involved in this type of research.
Yeah, Professor Matsuzawa,
Huh.
who leads the Primate Research Institute
Right.
in Japan,
Okay.
he's deeply committed
Mhm.
to ensuring the well-being of the chimpanzees.
That's good.
They live in a spacious, naturalistic habitat,
Okay.
and they actually choose whether or not to participate.
Wow, so it's voluntary.
In the research,
Yeah.
they're treated more like colleagues than subjects.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
It makes the research all the more compelling.
it is, yeah.
Knowing that it's ethical like that.
Absolutely. Professor Matsuzawa understands
Yeah.
that to truly learn
Yeah.
from these incredible animals,
Yeah.
we need to create a
Yeah.
research environment
Right.
that prioritizes their well-being
Yeah. And their autonomy.
and their autonomy.
Yeah. So what would you say are some of the most striking things we learn
Wow.
from these chimpanzee memory studies?
One of the key takeaways
Yeah.
is that intelligence
Uh-huh.
manifests in many forms.
Yeah.
You know, we often have this
Oh, it's
very
fair.
human-centric view of intelligence, assuming that
Yeah, of course.
our way of thinking is superior.
Yeah.
But the chimp's remarkable
Right.
memory abilities
Yeah.
really demonstrate that there are other ways of perceiving and understanding the world
Mm-hmm.
that we may not even fully grasp.
It's a good reminder that we humans aren't the only ones with these cognitive superpowers.
Exact.
Right. And it makes you wonder
And it makes you wonder.
what other incredible abilities are out there,
Yeah.
hidden within the animal kingdom, just waiting to be discovered.
Waiting to be discovered.
Yeah.
Precisely.
I think it also highlights how important it is to protect these endangered species,
Exactly.
chimpanzees and other primates.
Chimpanzees and other primates.
They're not just fascinating research subjects.
Yeah.
They hold this critical place in the web of life.
They hold a critical place in the web of life.
And losing them would mean losing a part of ourselves.
Exactly.
So speaking of protecting
Yeah.
these amazing creatures, what can we do as individuals to support research and conservation efforts?
Wow.
It can feel overwhelming
It can feel daunting.
to think about tackling these large-scale problems.
Yeah, but every action, no matter how small,
Sure.
contributes to the bigger picture.
Okay.
So we can support organizations like the Primate Research Institute through donations or volunteer work.
Okay.
We can advocate for policies that protect wildlife habitat. And we can make conscious choices as consumers.
So it's about being aware
Yeah.
of where you spend your money.
Supporting businesses that prioritize ethical
Yeah.
and sustainable practices.
Yeah, and raising awareness too, right? The
Absolutely.
more people understand
Education is key.
about this.
Yeah, by sharing this knowledge
Yeah.
and fostering a sense of wonder
Right.
and respect for these animals,
Yeah.
we can inspire others to join the movement to protect them.
It's about recognizing that we're all part of this interconnected web of life
Absolutely.
and of the well-being of chimps.
Yeah, the cognitive trade-off hypothesis
Yeah.
adds another layer to this interconnectedness.
Okay.
It suggests that while we may have evolved different cognitive strength, we're all products of these same evolutionary forces.
Right, shaped by
Similar things.
the challenges and opportunities of
Yeah.
our respective environments.
And that perhaps in the grand scheme of things, we're not so different after all. Right?
We might have traded some visual memory for language,
Yeah.
but we're still driven by those same
By
basic needs for survival.
those same basic needs
Ridiculous.
for survival connection
Yeah.
and understanding.
And understanding.
And that shared heritage
Yeah,
is something worth celebrating
it is, yeah.
and protecting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible to think about those different evolutionary paths
It really is.
and how they've shaped our brains and our abilities.
Yeah.
You know, imagine if we could somehow just tap into
It's a truly
that chimp level short-term memory.
shot experiment.
What would the world be like?
Yeah.
What kind of things could we achieve?
Picture this.
Yeah.
You could walk into a room,
Uh-huh.
glance around for just a few seconds,
Okay.
and perfectly recall every detail.
Wow.
The color of the walls,
Okay.
the arrangement of the furniture,
Uh-huh.
even the tiniest objects.
Yeah. What could we do with that?
Think about that implication.
Yeah. For fields like medicine,
Oh, yeah.
engineering, or even art.
Right, like a surgeon could just visualize
Surgeons could visualize
the entire procedure.
those complex procedures
Ah.
with ease.
Mhm.
Artists could create incredibly detailed works.
From memory.
Memory.
And students could probably ace every exam
Exactly.
without even opening a book.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
also makes me think,
Right.
like, what would be the downsides?
That's a really important consideration.
Right.
Yeah.
If we had retained that level of...
What if we had retained that
Thanks,
level
Michael,
of
too.
detailed visual memory?
Uh-huh.
Would we have developed the
Right.
same capacity
Yeah.
for abstract thought and creativity?
For those higher level functions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so essential
Right.
to human innovation.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like maybe those lightning fast memory skills.
Maybe those lightning fast memory
There
skills
was been a distraction.
been a distraction. for
Preventing
them.
us from focusing. Preventing us
On the big picture.
from focusing on that bigger picture.
The abstract concepts that led
The
to
abstract
language
concept
and all of its complexities.
that led to language.
So maybe we needed to free up some mental space.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all about balance, isn't it?
It is.
Each evolutionary path
Each evolutionary path
has its trade-offs.
has its trade-off.
We gain language and abstract thought,
Right.
but maybe at the expense of some
Perhaps at the expense
of that raw visual
Perhaps
processing
the
power.
Raw visual processing power.
Chimps kept their short-term memory,
Yeah.
but they haven't really developed that same level of symbolic communication.
All right.
It's like nature is saying you can't have it all.
You can't have it all.
Choose your strengths
Choose your strengths
and make the most of them.
and make the most of them.
And when we see those chimps just acing those tests,
Yeah.
it's humbling, right?
It is.
It puts us humans to shame.
It underscores the fact
Yeah.
that intelligence
Right. We're not the only ones with these.
takes so many forms.
Yeah, it's cognitive gifts.
And that we humans are not the only species.
Right. And we have so much to learn
With these remarkable
other species,
cognitive gifts.
especially the ones that are closely related to us.
Especially the ones that
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
our evolutionary lineage.
So I guess this brings us to the big question
Yeah.
we posed at the beginning.
The big question.
If you had to choose,
Yeah.
would you rather have that amazing short-term memory like a chimp
It's a tough choice.
or the ability to communicate through language like we do?
It really is.
It's a tough choice, isn't it?
On the one hand, imagine the
Yeah.
benefits
Right.
of having that near photographic memory.
Yeah, you'd never forget a name.
You would never forget a name.
A face, a fact.
A face of fact.
Yeah,
You could absorb information like a sponge
yeah, just soak it all up.
and recall it with perfect accuracy.
I feel like language is just
But on the other hand,
so important.
language allows us to connect with others on this really
Mhm.
profound level.
Right, to share
Let's
ideas,
share ideas,
build relationships.
to build relationships, to create entire cultures.
Right.
It's the foundation
It's like choosing between
of our shared humanity.
being a master of information or a master of connection.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's a choice
It is.
that forces you
Yeah.
to examine your values
Yeah, and I think for me, I'd still stick with language.
and priorities.
Yeah.
What do you truly value most?
It's just such a core part of
The ability to amass knowledge
what makes us
or
human.
the ability to forge these meaningful connections.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Language is more than just a tool
Right.
for communication.
It's the fabric of our social and emotional lives.
It's the very fabric of our
Yeah.
social and emotional lives.
Right.
It allows us to express our deepest thoughts and feelings, to create art and music,
Yeah.
to build that sense of shared identity.
It really is what makes us unique.
It's what makes us unique as a species. But that doesn't mean
That doesn't mean we should just discount
we should discount
the abilities
their primate cousins.
of our primate cousins.
Yeah.
They're amazing memories.
They're incredible. Their memories are just
Remind us
amazing. And they remind us
that there are different ways
there are other ways of experiencing
and understanding
the world,
the world.
and that we still have
And we can learn from
so
them.
much to learn from them.
So we'll leave our listeners with this final thought.
So to our listeners,
What would you choose?
we leave you with this final thought.
Photographic memory or the gift of language?
What would you choose?
Let us know what you think.
Photographic memory or the gift of language?
And to keep exploring this amazing world of primate research.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
And we encourage you to continue exploring
It really challenges our understanding of what it means to be human.
this amazing world of primate research.
Yeah, and it reminds us of this incredible diversity of life.
It's a field that's constantly challenging our understanding
on our planet.
of what it means to be human,
Yeah.
and reminds us of this
Absolutely.
incredible diversity of life on our planet.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
Until next time,
Keep those brains buzzing
keep those brains buzzing
and keep thinking about it.
and those curiosity fires burning.
Absolutely.